Hello. We are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Monday Speaker Series. Now, before we get started, I just want to share this into our Facebook groups so that you can join us in our amazing Monday speakers. So today with us, we've got fantastic Anupa, and she has a story to share. So as you know, oh God, this looks really there you go. Oh, sorry about that. So, as you know, every Monday we come live and we speak about all topics bad. So, what is bad? Let's remind everyone. Bad Mom Club. We stand for balanced, authentic, and deserving. We are all about really bringing forward the things that women forgot about. We forget about it as women, but we also forget about it as mothers. And I always say you don't necessarily need to be a mother of a human being. You can be a furry mom, you can be a plant mom. It doesn't matter. If you're a woman, you always usually just kind of struggle with the same things. And in Bad Mom Club, this is what we address. And every Monday, I bring in fantastic speakers like Anupa, who are sharing with us beautiful topics and spreading the love for positivity, spreading the love for how really break bad, how to be an amazing woman, how to thrive in your own body, and how to realize that you, my darling, are enough. So that is who we are. But today it's all about Anupa. So Anupa, I am so glad that you're here with us today. I am really looking forward to hearing your story and to share it with my audience. So why don't you tell us who you are, what do you do, and how did you get to this point in your life?
So yeah, I'm a 43-year-old mum of two. So I've got a 10-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. And it's strange actually because my life online and on social media and doing my business has only been this last year. So for everybody, there's been so much change with COVID, and that's exactly what happened to me. So up until last March, I had been a primary school teacher for 17 years. But back in my mind, I kind of knew that I'd always had this body image journey, that I'd always had issues because from a young age, and actually the name of my business, Sparrowlegs, is a nickname that my PE teacher gave me. So from the age of about 11 and 12, when a lot of girls and boys start to struggle with their bodies because they're changing and there's hormones and people start making comments. And so from that age, I really took on board the comments that were said to me, the way it made me feel. And over the years that continued, and I just felt quite unworthy, and I hid myself away, and I didn't look in mirrors, and I avoided certain relationships. So it affected quite a lot of my life, which I only realized when I was close to turning 40 really. And I looked back and thought, wow, I've wasted a lot of time thinking about what I look like or worrying about what I look like, but not actually really knowing that it was, it wasn't outwardly out there. It was more just that I had embedded it inside, and that lack of worth then affected those choices. So last March, I started an Instagram page called Miss Sparrowlegs. And really it was just to tell that perspective that it doesn't get heard, because skinny shaming exists. Because comments to skinny people or slim people is just as common as it is to larger ladies and people in bigger bodies. In fact, it's almost seemed as okay to comment when somebody is smaller rather than larger. So I started my Instagram page, and then my daughter turned 11 in May last year. And I was so surprised at the stuff I was seeing on Instagram and the things that she will eventually be seeing. And I suddenly had this passion to support the young, and that's what I've done ever since. So my mission really is to make sure that the next generations can feel completely comfortable in their own skin. And so I have a Facebook group which is more for parents, teachers, to come on board and just share our experiences and how can we support the next generations. And then I wrote a book which is called Sparrowlegs, obviously for under sevens, and that's more about opening up conversations with children from a really young age, so that we're opening up and saying, you know, what do we think about our bodies? What makes our bodies amazing? Asking all those questions and actually having the open conversation. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I can relate on so many levels. Obviously, I went from the opposite direction. I was always very overweight in my life, so I went from that side. But my brother was always the skinny one, right?
Yeah.
And everyone was, we have, you know, the daddy long legs.
Yes.
We were always making fun of him that he's like that because he was just bones and stuff like that. So it's quite a thing that affects a lot of people. So the other day, actually, funny you mentioned Instagram. The other day on Instagram, I have seen a beautiful quote saying that if we all ate the same calories, the
Yeah.
same food, and we all exercised the same way, we would still look different. And that is absolutely true. You know, as a scientist and as a PhD in genetics, I am like so aware that no two bodies are the same. Not even the
Mhm.
bodies of the twins that we geneticists, we like to study twins. So they're not the same. You just can't, you know, you just can't.
Monica, I'm a twin. I'm a twin.
Ah, there you go. And how is your twin?
My twin is my brother, and I'm about 5'3". He's 6 foot. He's quite well built, and I'm tiny.
There you go. Thank you for confirming that. I did not know that. This is amazing. So yes, thank you for confirming that. It's absolutely like that, and I think in this 21st century, when we are a lot more aware about nutrition, lifestyle, bodies, the way that we are built, the way we are made, I think what you're doing, spreading awareness for body acceptance, is one of the most important things. And I wish I had someone like you when I was growing up. And what I really like is that you have children in mind here. Because obviously we do pass it on to our children, we pass it on to other generations, whether we do it on purpose or not. So I actually have intentional conversations with my daughter at home, because she observes my body, her body, my partner's body, and she would comment. She would comment.
Mm.
Sometimes, I get bloated, and she's like, "Oh, mommy, you're fat," and I'm like, "Well, actually," and then I try to explain to her. So I think these conversations are really important for children to understand the diversity. So go into this topic. How do you help children? I mean, you mentioned your book that you wrote a
Yeah.
book about this, which is amazing. So we're gonna drop all the links in the comments later on so that you can go and download or buy or join the group. But for now, how do you approach the children? How do you recommend parents, moms, to speak to their children, especially girls, about this
Yeah.
topic?
I mean, I always say that I'm not a person that has all the answers. I've learned a lot over this last year, but my main sort of motivation for this was because I knew how much I had struggled. So for me, I want to say first off, parenting is hard. Don't expect a lot of yourself. There is so much that we have to do. And in this day and age, with social media being about, it's really tough. It's really hard to support our children. But I think it does start with us. And like you said, without meaning to, we pass these things down the generations. And so for me, I just want to raise awareness and get parents to think, wow, how am I dealing with my own body? Do I accept my own body? So it's us really thinking about, do we speak about our body in a nice way? Do our children hear us talk about our bodies in a nice way? And also, do they hear us talking about what our bodies can do? Because we should have more conversations with our children and in front of our children about ourselves, about what our bodies are actually here to do. They're here to be able to move, to be able to walk, to be able to talk, all of those things. And we wouldn't be able to do them without a body. So we aren't here to be an ornament. So firstly, I would say we have to look at ourselves and really think about how we talk about our own bodies and what they do. Secondly, I think it's just language around food. I always talk about language around food, thinking really carefully about the message that we give. You know, I often say we don't talk about food in terms of good food and bad food. And you will agree that every food has a nutritional place. And, you know, it's not saying to our children, just go and eat everything or only eat this type of food, because it's a case of knowing what that is doing to your body. So it's having those conversations. This will fuel your body and give you energy. This we have less of because it contains sugar. But like you say, like you do, you know, there's other ways to have sugar as well, you know, because there's natural ways to have sugar, which, you know, you have to talk about that balance. So it's not about making food a bad thing, because I think once children start to feel guilt attached to food, they then, you know, that will turn the other way, where they start to struggle with their eating patterns and it spirals, you know. So it's thinking about our biases, it's supporting our language around food, making sure also that we are talking to people that speak to our children. You know, if we hear comments that are said to our children sometimes, and what I've learned a lot in this last year is that quite often the throwaway comments that children will pick up on and then develop, you know, sort of issues around their body will often come from extended family, well-meaning family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, who might say at the dinner table, you know, when you're having a meal together, oh, you're greedy, aren't you, asking for another piece of cake or whatever it might be. And it's those words that are damaging. So we as parents, as the mums, as the dads, we have to stand up and say, actually, we don't agree with that, you know, because we're there to support our children, aren't we? And one of the other things that I always talk about as well is focus on what our children can do, not their bodies, but who they are as people.
Yes.
You know, that's so much more important. So
yes.
do that so much more. Talk about what are they good at? What do they enjoy? What are their habits? Because as those extended, not even extended family, as friends, quite often we will, and I've done this myself, we will meet a friend's child and we'll go, wow, haven't you grown? Or, oh, you've got such beautiful curly hair. Instead of saying, you know, oh, what have you been doing at school recently? Or what sports do you enjoy? You know, and it's all about language really for me.
It really is. And I believe all these things are so heavily engraved, especially in our culture and society, that is really, we're doing heavy lifting by trying to raise awareness and trying to shift those paradigms. So, wow, I'm just so inspired by you. And you know what? I'm really, really glad to see that other women, and a lot of women that I've interviewed lately, are spreading the message that it's not about how you look, right? My group is called Weight Loss Support, right? It's Bad Mom Club Weight Loss Support. Yes, that is something that we do, but I never focus actually on the number on the scale. Everyone can confirm that. What I focus on is, have you eaten good foods today? Have you eaten foods that are nutritionally dense? Have you drank enough water? Are you feeling great in your body? You can be size 18 and feel fantastic in your body, or you can be a size 8 and feel rubbish. That your size does not define your health, and that's what I'm saying. And this is something that it's been engraved in my mind. I come from a culture where it is really, really important to be thin. I was never thin, I was always overweight. And even after I've lost 55 pounds, I was still not thin, because the way that my body is built is I've got broad shoulders, broad hips. I'm strong, you know, I'm like solid, especially after I started powerlifting. But I was never thin. And every time I go back home, even though I am now normal size and everything, I still feel horrible. I refuse to wear shorts in summer because I feel that I'm still too fat to fit in there, right? And it's just like the things that happen to you throughout your life is just damaging, and it's damaging for life. So we really need to be careful how we speak about our children, not just our children, but everyone around us, like your size does not define you. And bodies are freaking amazing. I mean, wow, like I can geek about body topic all day long, right? Obviously.
Yeah, I also think it's really important to teach our children not to make judgments of others. And if they hear us judging other people, like you just said, you get comments, and you've had comments about being overweight, and it's sometimes, like if you're sat with another person and you're gossiping and the kids are listening in and you might just be chatting away, it's really important that you realize it's not okay anyway for us to judge anybody, because we don't know what battles they've gone through and how they feel about their own body. And actually, we look at models walking down the catwalk and we think they're in a perfect body, and A, they might be really unhappy. B, as you say, they may have a really poor diet, and therefore mentally they probably aren't happy, because that fuel that you talk about, which is why I love your group and have seen, I need to go in there more, but I know that it's not about weight loss per se. I know that your group is about eating those right foods, and that is part of what I talk about, in that, yes, okay, don't tell your children foods are good and bad, but equally teach them about the nutrition of food, teach them why they should eat good food, because if your body, genetically, yes, we are all a certain body type, but equally we need to look after our bodies, don't we, and take care of them so that we can be here for longer, so that we can do those amazing things, so that we can walk far, and so that we can run, and so that we can cycle and swim and whatever else we want to do. So there is a really fine balance, but like you say, it's about how we talk about it, and that we start really young. Like you said, you're already having intentional conversations with your daughter, and that's the way it should be. When we're at the dinner table, we can discuss what's in our food and what foods they enjoy and why they like them, and talk about the taste. And actually, you know what, when we eat well, we feel good, therefore we look good.
I always say, you feel good in your tummy, you're gonna feel good in your mind, and then all the things are gonna start flowing. That is what I always say. Oh my goodness, I really, really like that. And I mean, you and I would just resonate so much with what we're trying to spread in this world. So one thing that really helped me as a mom, like a mom hack right now, we went to Home Bargains, and they were selling those plates, just normal dinner plates, but they're actually painted with vegetables and protein sources and carb sources. And they're like divided, half a plate should be veggies, and this is how much protein, this is how much carbs. And we actually have those plates at home, and we do talk about the foods. And she always goes, oh, this is this on the plate, while she's eating her dinner. And what I've noticed, I didn't start doing this intentionally, just because she was actually so curious. And I was like, actually, this is really good. She was starting to ask me, why she's eating certain foods, why she's not eating certain foods. So I started explaining to her, see, broccoli is really good because it's got this and this. It's going to make you stronger and healthier, and when you have broccoli, then all your bacteria in your gut are really, really happy. So when you have chocolate afterwards, they don't complain too much. And she's like, ooh, that's interesting. I was like, it's all about balance. So you have this and you have that, and it's okay. So she's 5.5, and she comes to me, asks me, mommy, is this a healthy food? And I just say, I say openly, it can be. It depends. What have you eaten before? How are you going to combine it? Like you said, no food is bad per se. You shouldn't be demonizing foods. Definitely not food groups. Oh my God, that just blows my mind. Pizza is not your enemy, neither is chips, all these things. It's just the way you eat them and how often you eat them, and whether you have that on its own or whether you have it with a side salad.
Exactly that. I completely agree. And with children, it is about teaching them that, isn't it? And actually, if you make a pizza at home, it's completely different to having a pizza out. But having said that, if you're out and you have a pizza, that's okay. No one's died from eating out and having a pizza once a week. But like you say, it's all about balance, and it's about teaching our children, but also allowing them to make a little bit of choice, and teaching them that actually they have to figure out themselves a little bit as well. What makes you feel good? What do you think makes you feel better? What things as they get older. I mean, but if you're saying that from such a young age, they're cotton onto things. They know what they should eat more of and what they should eat less of. My children definitely know what they should eat more of and less of, and they don't say, oh, that's a really bad food. But it's things like us mums as well. We feel guilty, like if we go to a party and there's cake and we go, oh no, we can't have a piece of cake because we didn't go for a run this morning, or we didn't do that. And actually, like you say, it is demonizing that food. And in the eyes of children as well, what do they see in their mums denying themselves of certain foods? I think that's a really bad message to give. Whereas actually, have a little piece of cake. It doesn't have to be huge. You can cut that piece of cake in half, have a few mouthfuls. But actually, what you're also showing your children is that you're joining in with the fun. And it's not just about food. It's about it's part of our culture, having a party, having fun, having cake and having music. And so when you take one part of it away, it's almost, making it empty, I guess.
Absolutely. And everything does revolve around some sort of food, barbecues, family gatherings, parties, this and that. Food is amazing. I mean, I would really struggle having to say no to so many amazing, delicious foods just because I was on a diet, or just because I'm watching my waist, or just because I didn't over exercise that day in the gym. This was me. This actually was me. And I think why so many women resonate with me is because I've been there, done that. And I actually developed an eating disorder. I was literally afraid of carbs. I started being anxious whenever it was a date night and we had chicken wings or we went out for a meal or something like that. I was actually anxious because I couldn't log it into my fitness pal. And I was like, I don't know how many calories. And if you guesstimate, then you're probably doing it wrong. So I'm probably going to gain weight. I'm going to be fat now forever. This is all what's been happening in my head. And it was such a horrible place to be. And ever since it clicked and I realized that no, it's not about giving up all these things. It's about finding that healthy, balanced, being authentic and deserving. Once everything clicked into my head, I was like, wow. And I never worried about my weight again. And weight went up and down a little bit, but overall I stayed the same size. I had my cake and ate it at the same time. I loved myself. And right now I'm the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life. And this is what we need to strive for our children as well. So Anupa, you are absolutely fantastic. I love what you're spreading. I love that idea. I have no idea why I haven't bought your book yet. I should definitely go onto my child's reading list. We are really, really loving all these children's books. The other day, I've met an author on the networking event, and she wrote a book about how princesses have stinky pumps or stinky farts or something.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, love it. Great idea. Again, about accepting how our bodies actually work. That yes, girls fart too. Hello. So, oh my goodness, I think that whoever is watching this should definitely reach out to you. You are a wonderful person to hold a conversation with. And also, you said you have your own Facebook group. So who is welcome into your Facebook group?
So parents, teachers, I mean, it's at the moment, it's mainly parents, and I love it. There's about 400 people in there, but it's like anything, isn't it? It will build slowly, but the people that are talking within the group are really interested in wanting to support their children. And like I say, it's not about me going into this group and having the answers in the same way that you don't claim to know everything. It's about opening minds, isn't it? Like you're opening minds to people and saying, hang on a second, have you thought about this type of food or whatever? Because actually I read something interesting today. It asked somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but it said, if you had to live without processed foods, if you had to take them out of your diet, where would you get your food? So what would you do? And it's an interesting way to start thinking about, well, if I can't buy those packaged foods, how am I going to change that around? How am I going to have breakfast? How am I going to have lunch? And, you know, so it's all just about sharing knowledge. For me, that group is about sharing knowledge. So parents really that want to support their young for now. And as time goes on, because obviously for me, it's been really strange leaving teaching. So there's no, you know, there's not any massive goals at the moment. My goal is to make this mission, you know, a big thing for everybody and in whatever way I can, really.
Yes, that's it. And you know what? We need to bring you back into the group to speak to us again, and maybe you can come and talk us about a chapter in the book, or maybe you can even read us a book sometimes.
Yeah, that book is actually for under 7, so it's not really chapters. It's a very short book, but I can come and read the book. But yeah, for me, it was more just about opening up discussions. But I have written a second children's story, so watch this space.
Yay, this is amazing. Oh my goodness, I admire people who actually write books, because I struggle with putting words onto the paper. I can talk.
Yeah.
But I struggle putting them down. So well done. And I'm so looking forward to see the second one. So anyone who's been watching this, thank you so much. You can find us on YouTube or on a Facebook page, Dr. Monika Gostic. You can find us in Bad Mom Club, weight loss support Facebook group. Moms of any sort are welcome. We support women in breaking bad. I say so many references in here. Scientists. We support women in breaking bad, which is balanced, authentic, deserving. It's not about giving up foods. It's not about not eating for half of the day or even more, 20 hours of the day. It's about really understanding your body, because no two bodies are the same, and how you can use the advantages of your own body for having food freedom and really feeling freaking amazing. Because who doesn't want to play in the playground with their children as well, going down the slide and going on the swings? Because that, for me, that is real freedom. And this is something that I am incredibly grateful that I managed to do. So I want to spread this onto every mom out there. Let's break bad together. Thank you so much, Anupa, for being our fantastic guest. This video is going to be in our Facebook group under collaborations tag, and I will pop the links if you're on YouTube in below, if you're on Facebook in above. So thank you everyone for joining us, and have a fantastic rest of the Monday.
Thanks, Monica. Bye.